Right, welcome back to part 2, our journey back to Royal Blackburn. Time is just 8 o'clock. Arrival time at the moment is 8:49, but it will be probably around about 9 o'clock when we get there, allowing for traffic, so not so bad. The isotope ideally needs to be there no later than 10 o'clock.
Turn left.
So ample time. It's just that now with this job, this job was always the previous driver worked till 2:30. Now when I took over, when he retired in September last year,
Just ahead.
the times were, the working day was reduced by an hour, so it's now 1:30, which is great, but it's still the same job. So clearly 10 o'clock, and then I have to have my lunch break, which at the beginning, having a lunch break between 9:30 and 10 o'clock was very strange, but I've got used to it now. I'll just have a small like a mug shot, they call them, like a cup of soup type of
Just
thing,
ahead. Turn
and that
left.
just kind of fills the gap between that time and when I get home, and I have some usually homemade soup made by Lynn. Delicious. Right, so as I said, the job, you get back at 9 o'clock with the isotope. The patients are actually waiting, so 10 o'clock would be really, really bad, really late, even though it's technically allowed. It's not good for patients. So you can get major traffic problems on this journey. That's why I've got a sat nav on my Samsung S3. I use GPS. What's it called? GPS mobile. And basically, it's there's another bloody cyclist gone through red. Basically, it's just to give you a real-time traffic warnings. Any hold-ups. There's a well, it's not there at the minute. I'm looking at it now. On the right-hand side, there's
Just
usually
ahead. Turn left.
a bar, a status bar, and if there's any red bits in, that's severe delays ahead on that journey. However, it's not there now, so I presume that's down to the company that run this app, because I think I've got
500
data's on.
yards. Turn left.
Anyway, and it also gives you the time of arrival, so if you are delayed, I can ring transport and just give an ETA so that they can inform the department, so they can actually inform the patients of any delays. So as with everything in life, communication is key, and so many times communication breaks down, and transport traditionally are the last people to know about anything and the first ones to blame. That's how it is. Hey ho. Right, so we're on our journey home. We're on Plymouth Grove now. Speed limits around here are 30 miles an hour, and yet so many people
Just ahead. Turn right.
just totally ignore the speed limit, and if you're adhering to the speed limit, then you're basically under the feet. And then you get a few gnashing of teeth, and I think, well, tough, because at work it looks as though they're going to roll out a tracking system on vehicles. They've been trialling it on certain vehicles, and of course that monitors your speed, every aspect of your driving, your braking, the amount of time you spend parked up. So theoretically, you know, if it's monitored properly, they can actually advise you on how you're not driving properly or otherwise. I'd like to think that it will be used also to commend your style of driving and keeping to the speed limit. But again, with experience that I have with this job, I can't imagine that happening for 1 minute. But hey, it might happen. Who knows? So this is Devonshire Street East, and we're just turning right when the lights change into Hyde Road, the A57. Now this A57, it's a dual carriageway road with no barrier, if you will, no sort of barrier between each line of traffic. And in all fairness, it's simply not wide enough. If you notice, when I'm going along, you'll notice the near side of the car going down gullies, drains, grates, depending on what you call them. We call them grates, where the rainwater flows down. And of course, with all the traffic, you know, buses, lorries, cars, these grates are sinking really badly. And of course, there's no maintenance, of course, now on the roads. They shove some tarmac in, and it lasts a few weeks before it sinks again.
Safety camera.
It's not a proper repair. So, consequently, you're driving at 30 miles an hour, which I'm doing now. I'm hitting 30 now.
500 yards.
And you'll see constantly overtaking me vehicles on in the right hand lane there. Now there's no, they said there's speed cameras. I can't think that I've seen one on here, but the sat nav warns me of these speed cameras, because there's certainly no obvious law enforcement going on here.
Just ahead.
I've yet to see
Right.
anybody pulled, even though they're passing me all the time. And of course, they don't get much further now. I've got a bus in front now, and it's a learner. So this guy's learning to drive a bus, and he's obviously going to be driving absolutely rigidly to the speed limit, which I'm doing. There's a car just about to overtake me. You'll see him now, and he's doing about 35, 36 miles an hour. So even with 10%, allowing for 10%, which, you know, there's different theories whether it's allowed. No police officer would ever say that they allow
Just ahead.
10%, I don't think. I think it's down to, you know, if it's posted at going 30 mile an hour
Just ahead.
limit,
Keep left.
then you need to stick to 30 mile an hour. And it's actually less stressful. It really is. They might get there 5 minutes earlier if they're lucky, but they've arrived frazzled, stressed, because it's a constant battle about keeping in front of the next vehicle. That's no way to drive. No way to drive. Now, as you can see, you see what I mean about this road. Look at the state of it. I certainly wouldn't like to drive my car along here on a regular basis. Look at this here, bang, bang. Manhole cover is sunk. There's often there's a bus stop there on the left. Now what happens when it rains heavy? Because of the state of the roads, the drains aren't cleared. Well, then it floods, and of course you're driving along here, and you hit flooding, and there's a bus stop there, and guess what happens? Well, yeah, this is about what they hit.
2 miles. Take first exit and roundabout.
And actually, you can be prosecuted for that. They can actually prosecute you for wetting people on the footpath. And yet, where does the blame lie? It's not the drivers. Certainly not the bus passengers waiting for the bus. It's the authorities in charge of road maintenance. But everybody's absolved of any responsibility now, and it's all down on the motorist. Anyway, so we were talking about what were we talking about before? Motorcycling and the many benefits of that over driving a car. Oh, it's raining. For a change, it's raining. As if it didn't do enough yesterday. Hopefully it's just a shower. Yeah, so I can't see the roads getting any better traffic wise. I can only see it going the opposite way. Eventually a lot of people will just simply fall out of love with the car, because you know, you spend money, whatever car you have. I mean, we have a Ford Fiesta. It's a nice little car, and you know it costs whatever, you know, £8,000-9,000. Whether you spend 8,000 or 9,000 or you know 60,000 on a BMW or you know flash car, it doesn't matter what you spend really, because you're all in the same predicament. You're all stuck in traffic, and you're all driving on roads which are really third world roads, because that's what they are. You know, often in poor countries, so-called poor countries, you know, the roads are better than these. You know, because there's not as much traffic on, obviously, so, you know, but also, you know, amazingly, we send money abroad for these countries to improve their road network, whilst at the same time ours is being destroyed. It's just unbelievable. But no matter what you drive, as I said, you know, whether it's a £500, you know, just to get you from work and back, or whatever, to a £100,000 sports car, whatever, or more, you're all on the same roads,
1 mile. Take first
which are
exit
blocked,
and roundabout.
which are knackered, which then in turn knackers your suspension, your bearings, track rod ends, your tyres, your wheels, your buckling wheels. I know from experience listening to other people from other countries, such as Brian, where he comes from in Detroit. Now you think Detroit, Motor City, you know, you can't imagine that state of Michigan having bad roads, or any place in America really. You have this idea that, you know, one of Rick richest, if not the richest country, most powerful democracy in the world, you know, fighting foreign wars and, you know, policing the world as they're often accused of doing. You can't imagine them having bad roads, but obviously they do. So there's as much waste and mismanagement of resources going on there as there is here. Now, some of you might think, you know, he's obsessed with these bad roads. Well, why wouldn't you be concerned if you're a motorist? My question to anyone who drives or rides, especially who rides, is if you're not concerned, why not? Is it just because you think, well, what can we do? I'll tell you what, talk about the silent majority. Just imagine if motorists would become the active majority, what difference we could make. You know, we really could make a difference if we all. You talk about it being a democracy. Well, let's force change. Don't just put up with crap. Right, so we're just on the A57 still. We're just about we're 200 yards off the M60 at junction 24, which is what they call Denton Island. It's a very, very busy junction. If you carry on in that next lane, and the number 3 lane, so lanes 2 and 3 take you to carrying on the A57 like this does, but also lane 2 and 3 take you to the M67, which must be one of the shortest motorways in the country. Possibly the 627M is, I don't know, which is near Chatterton, near Oldham. But it's a very short motorway, and it takes you to Mottram and Hyde, well, past Hyde toward Mottram, and eventually, you know, if you want to go to Derbyshire or indeed Sheffield, then it carries on over those areas. Now, a few weeks ago, Lynn and me was on our bike, joining this motorway. We'd come off the M67. It's the day that we've been to Derbyshire. Again, if you look on my channel, there are videos of our day in Derbyshire, Buxton and such like. And when we were joining this motorway, they've recently redesigned this roundabout. You know, they've relined it, and it looked on the face of it, that first day I'd used it, since the changes, looked like they'd done a good job. Now, either I didn't get in the right lane coming around the roundabout, I'm not sure. To me it just seemed like the lanes weren't correctly aligned, but next time I'm on it I'll see exactly what's what. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was when we joined the M60, where we're going now. Don't think we'll get through these lights. I think we'll change.
Just ahead. Take first exit.
So he's going on the motorway, so watch out for bloody cars. That's just what you get. People in wrong lane. He was in the right-hand lane. Yeah, so we had a near-do on this, just when we're joining this motorway. Best thing to do is the video and you'll see exactly what I mean. Quite busy this morning. It's a lovely motorway, is this? Beautiful surface. 4 lanes, then it goes down to 3, but then back to 4. So nice and wide. And it's not usually, doesn't usually have any problems with traffic because, of course, you're coming away from Manchester now. Although at this time of day, all the traffic is going into Manchester. So, you know, we are going the correct way, if you will. So, yeah, so there we are. So when I was a biker, when I first started motorcycling in 1980, I had no interest at all in cars. It wasn't like I had a burning ambition to get a car, like a lot of my peers did. Must get a car. Just I wasn't interested. I wasn't earning good money. I was on really crap money really in the job, but I was earning and I was living at home, so no commitments. But in 1987, so I've been riding my bike for almost 7 years, I was given the opportunity of taking driving lessons, and that person who gave me that opportunity, the people who are close to me know who I'm on about, I will be forever grateful, because passed my driving test the first time in 1988. Mr. Noblet, he tested, he gave me lessons, and he was wonderful, what a wonderful man. And he actually put Lynn through her driving lessons back in 1983, I think it was, so 4 years before me. And so I passed my test, and we still had a bike. In fact we had 2 bikes. You know, during the 80s, Lynn and me had our own bikes. At that time, 87, the main bike was the 400 Honda CB400 NC. That's the bike that we had our honeymoon on. How cool is that? Honeymoon on a motorcycle, camping. How cool. Brilliant. How many young ladies would do that now? To us it was the best. Anyway, so Lynn I had the 400, Lynn had the, well, she had her own, she had a 200, which was our 1984 bike, and then she got her own bike, she got a CD250, which we had a few problems with. A few problems. It was cylinder head, it had a crack in it for a brand new bike. It was very, very unusual for a Honda. So we had it replaced, obviously under warranty, and but we kind of fell out with that bike after that. So when we got the Kawasaki GT750 shaft drive, Lynn got the 400. Cast off. So in '88, so I passed this my car test, which was great. Now, because Lynn was a nursery nurse at that time and not earning a brilliant amount of money, we just got, we were 2 years into our first house and 1 year into our marriage. Money was tight, so why get a car? Because again, it's not the buying of the car, it's the running of it. A lot cheaper than it is now. Petrol was, I'd love to know what it was in 1988. It's probably around about 50p a litre. Or is it in gallons then? I don't know what it would be in gallons, but now it's like, currently as today, it's £1.16 a litre. So it's there we are. So what we did in '89, when the spring and summer came around, we hired a car, a Ford Fiesta, 1989, and that was an F-Reg. So, and what we did, we went out for a few days, a couple of days, over to like Scarborough, places like that. Went into the Lake District. We took Lynn's parents out in the back of it. We had a wonderful time, and we didn't want to let that car go. We really didn't. Again, I've never been a lover of cars. I'd rather ride the bike any day. But I realised that that they have more than the part to play for a family and practicalities, like this. But I still wasn't interested in getting a car, because I said when we had to leave it go. In fact, I seem to remember we were supposed to go back on this particular day, and we actually went and took out another day or two maybe rental on it. Just didn't want it to go. We really didn't. And it was a Ford Fiesta, Popular Plus, and it was a lovely little car. I learned to drive in a mini metro, Austin Metro, and it's funny really, because when I did pass my test that year, '88, on the 3rd of May 1988, which is the anniversary has just gone, the 27th anniversary, I got a job in a textile mill called Witten Mill in Blackburn as a storeman. It was a textile mill, the weaving shed, and I was one of 3 storemen. They had a storeman for each shift. So 6 to 2, 2 to 10, and nights. And I learned quite a lot when I got that job about ordering stuff and using the telex machine. My God, can you imagine telex now? Just gone through a series of potholes on a motorway at 70 miles an hour. So on one of the jobs, they had a car, they had a Vauxhall Cavalier Commander model, 1.6 petrol, back, and one of the jobs, you know, they were sold to. Weaving machines, and Sulzer is a Swiss company, and if you needed spare parts urgently, then you had to borrow spare parts from other mills, and often those mills were over Nelson and Colne way, so you know, 15 miles away. So this Cavalier, Vauxhall in General Motors, was there for the storeman. In this case, it's me, to use as a pool vehicle, you know, to get the spare parts. So there's me driving, passing my test in a mini metro. Excuse me. And all of a sudden I'm driving a 1.6 Cavalier without power steering, I might add. Well, it was like driving a tank. It really was, and I couldn't believe the power, you know. This Metro was probably, I don't know, 1000cc, something like that. And, well, we got a lot of fun. But I remember just feeling like I was in a tank. It was amazing. So what it did obviously, by passing my car test, it allowed me to look for jobs, for driving jobs. So it like broadened my horizon, kind of thing, you know. It increased my opportunities in getting work. And apart from a little bit of a sort of torrid time in the between 1990 and 91, I was made redundant twice, and one of the jobs I did at that time was postman. And whilst I was doing that job, I was only there for 3 weeks, I think, total. I was offered a driving job for a company that I used to use in the job at the Whitton Mill, in the textile mill. So this driving job came up, and I took it. And unfortunately, because of recession, I was going out in a van, a transit van, with very little on board, and you know, it was getting embarrassing really. I could see it coming, but when it came, it was nonetheless devastating again. So that was the end of that, and then in 1991, Sam was only 4 months old. I went for an interview for a hospital job in the whilst I'm not in the habit of turning jobs down, it didn't appeal to me working inside. I've had a working outside experience, and I kind of like that. Working indoors again in the hospital didn't really appeal. And for the first time in my life, I actually chose to turn the job down. That really hurt at the time. I was on what they call a dole, unemployment benefit. So no payout for this redundancy. So I was on state benefits, very, very basic state benefits. And I said no. Anyway, I don't know the time scale, but it wasn't long after I'd seen this job, transport, advertised in the job centre, and I applied, and I was given an interview, and I was pleased, delighted that I got the job. Really boosted my confidence after a couple of really bad knocks. So I started at transport. As I said, I was on the 26th of April 1991, so I've just completed 24 years. I've been very, very happy. 24 years. It's a lot of stability, which is worth a lot. Pay is crap, but you know that it's not going to get any better. This job was really designed for men, mainly men, that were kind of ready for retiring. You know, the family's grown up, they've no mortgage, they're financially more secure. So taking a little job like this was ideal before retirement. Whereas now, you know, there's myself and people like me who have family commitments, mortgage, everything else that goes with it, and it's on its own, it's just not a living wage. Look at this idiot there, you know, absolute idiot. So consequently, you've got people doing overtime. Well, it's not overtime, they call it bank now. Something a lot of them say about that one, but I won't, for obvious reasons. Just to make ends meet, and it's so sad because they're basically working 6-7 days a week to pay the bills, and that's not life. Work-life balance, you know, it's non-existent. It really isn't. I'm a firm believer in recognising and rewarding talent. I've been involved in network marketing business for 9 years now, and because of personal reasons and personal reasons only, nothing else, I've now left that business. However, in the 9 years that we did that business, but I'm speaking for myself, I saw what recognition and reward can actually do to the human being in motivational ways. I mean, if you motivate people and there are incentives there to do more and work harder and help more people,
Attention, safety camera.
and one thing that I used to get so frustrated with, because again I took it too much to heart, and that's part of the reason why I'm giving up,
In 500 yards. Turn left.
is what people fail to understand and even criticise and think it's a con, is that, you know, they have a saying, if you help enough people get what they want, then you will get everything that you want. I think it goes something like that. And there is a lot to be said about that. You know,
Just ahead.
in business,
Turn
normal
left.
business, it's a dog eat dog. You know, your business is so important. Everybody else, not important.
Just ahead.
Work together,
Turn
obviously.
left.
You know, if you're in similar, you know, you have seminars and things. I don't mean that. I mean your own
Just
individual
ahead.
business. You're not
Turn
going to
left.
help somebody else's business. Not, you know, in the hope that they will help you. You know, again, there are exceptions. There are, you know, examples of businesses that rely on other businesses to survive. Can't bring any to mind at the minute, not being in business, but I'm sure there are. But this, you know, it was network marketing. If it's fully understood, it's absolutely, well, I'm tempted to use awesome, phenomenal, if I could say it, but you get the picture. And really, they ought to teach it in schools, because in school, as it always has been, you're taught
Keep left.
to get a good education, to get a good job. Now you have to go to university and college if you can afford it. You're saddled with massive student fees thanks to this hopefully outgoing condemned government. £9,000 per year tuition fees. Free in Scotland for Scottish students. Not free for English students in Scotland.
Keep left.
Free in Wales for Welsh students, and I think not free for English students in Welsh colleges. So you've got a crazy situation where the English pay £9,000 tuition fees. So if you've got, you know, a 3-year degree, that's £27,000 of debt that you start paying back once you start earning a certain amount of money. But it's debt. Even before you get a house, anything, it's debt that will be with you for the rest of your life. Right. So, what were we on about? Rewarding and recognition. That's what I was on about. So, in network marketing, and in our case it was utility warehouse, we're still customers, we always will be, we will never change. I've had personal recognition from the company, not just financial, but you know, other rewards. I've had people congratulate me on my achievements that I would never ever have dreamed would even have given me the time of day, because I always assumed that people people that I associated with, they weren't my kind of people, so you didn't speak to them. But these people have got where they are because of hard work, because with the help of other people. You know, when he's talking to a guy that he and his wife have, you know, 3 homes in the world, one in Florida, you know, vehicles, you know, in each part of the world, and they're debt free. And in his previous life, he used to be a wet fish wholesaler. You think to yourself, a man that used to sell fish on the market, I thought it would have come out then. And now he's a millionaire. You think, how's he done that? And he's worked hard. He and Diana, have worked damn hard in getting what they've got. And now, after helping others achieve the same, then they can just enjoy the fruits of their labour. And it's taken them since 1996 to get where they are now. So we're not talking, you know, 30, 40, 50 years of hard graft. We're talking 18 years, 19 years. Nothing. You know, so anyone who's at school now, leaving school at 17, before they're 30, well before they're 30, they can be absolutely financially sound. Now, I'm saying this, and I still believe in the business, and that will never happen to me or Lynn. But we've come to the decision to come away from it because at our age, we've given up with this idea that in 20 years' time we're going to be financially safe. I think we should be financially safe now. After 9 years, by golly, we should be. We should be retired. Lynn should, you know, would be doing what she's doing, but in her own. She might even have her own school. I don't know. Anything's possible. But it's not happened, and it's never going to happen now. We're happy with it. We're contented. We've got so much from the business. So much other than financial gain from the business. We've made money, but it's enabled me, especially me, to find myself and be more comfortable with myself. I mean, I used to go to seminars, things. I used to be so nervous. It was laughable, really, but I was so far out of my comfort zone. But eventually, you know, I got more comfortable and more at home, and it didn't feel like something I was like going back to school. I always thought doing like a classroom training, which I attended from time to time, was like going back to school, and you know, if you didn't ask a question when asked to do so, you were made to feel inadequate. Well, I now know that in adult life it's not like that. Far from it. So, just doing this, what I'm doing now, talking to a bloody camera, which is going to go out on YouTube. I'd never have done that. I don't think in 2006, you know, before doing utility warehouse, I don't think I would have been able to do voiceovers on videos. I really don't. So for some that might be a good thing. And if I'm boring anyone, well then you can either turn it off, shut down your computer, or hit the mute button. But I always remember many years ago, why you dirty bastard, football coming. I always remember many years ago, there was one chap that I worked with who was similar age to me, so we were probably around about, I don't know, 18 years old. And this guy he had as much personality as a raw egg. He had no personality whatsoever at the time. He was moody, he was an only child, and he displayed obvious signs of that by being selfish and stubborn and just an all-round arsehole. And me being me, very insecure, a bit nervous, and when I'm nervous I tend to talk a lot. I talk a lot now, but I'm not nervous, that's the difference. But back then I used to talk a lot because I was a bit nervous. And this guy used to really take the piss out of me. He used to, he's talking again, he's talking again, he's doing this and doing that. And he really did psychologically bully me to the point where I used to go home upset, and things were, bullying wasn't sort of given the correct thing as it was then. You know, it was a family firm I worked for, and I could just imagine going to manager and saying, you know, he's bullying me, and he'd say, just stop moaning, get on with it if you don't like it, you know, ignore it. That's probably what you would have got. And one day I actually said to him, look, I like talking. And what I meant was, I like people. I like to communicate with people. But he said, he likes talking. And he made such a halloo about it that it made me do the opposite. It made me actually stop talking and go introvert and shy and whatnot. And you know, when you meet people like that, bastard. When you meet people like that who undermine you because they're insecure themselves, so guess what? They want you to be insecure. That really annoys me, and it can make somebody's life a misery. And of course, some people can't stand it any longer and they commit suicide. Well, fortunately I didn't go that far, but I remember I did struggle quite a bit with this particular guy. Like, there was a lad in my class at school, and from day one he psychologically, not physically, because physically you can see, you know, bruises and whatever, but psychologically he bullied me. He spotted that I was, you know, an 11-year-old lad with very nervous and sort of, you know, shy disposition, and he was shy and insecure himself, but he capitalised. The way he dealt with his demons was to make him look bigger. That's what bullies do. They're cowards. We all know that. So I get very annoyed when I hear about bullying. It takes on many forms. Right, so we're back in Blackburn on on Shadsworth Road. You'll recognise anyone who's a regular viewer of FJR Biker Pole.
In 500 yards, take second exit and roundabout.
It's a nice day today, as you can see, and it will be nice to be on the bike today, but not today. I wonder whether Lynn might fancy a little soup ride to Rivington Boy. I don't know what temperature. It's a bit cool, you see. It's 9 degrees, that's 48 degrees Fahrenheit right now. So it's quite cool. It was 7 this morning, so it's gone up 2 degrees, so it probably will make around about 10 or 11, I suspect, today. But with lighter winds and a bit of sunshine, it makes all the difference. Yesterday was a dreadful day. It never stopped raining. It was like horizontal rain.
Take second exit and roundabout.
Come round there, lady. And roundabouts, as you can see, if used correctly, keep traffic moving. And what they've done further along towards the motorway is actually remove a roundabout and put traffic lights there. It's designed to keep traffic moving because, well, it's horrendous at peak times going to the motorway especially, but also like just after lunch on certain days, Tuesdays mostly. There's traffic coming up where I'm going now into the hospital, like going for clinics, for appointments. They're all coming in here, and you have to carry on where that ambulance is coming from there, and you have to go through barriers and park your vehicle. It's pay and display, and consequently the traffic on the main road backs up all the way back to the motorway into the hospital. So when they opened it, when they built this single site hospital on the site of the old Queen's Park Hospital, what they should have done was made it into a dual carriageway all the way from the motorway. But again, as I alluded to earlier, we're talking about bad planners who simply don't know how to build roads and plans for the future. So the net result is that you get traffic chaos at certain times of day. So removing a roundabout in the hope that it will keep traffic moving until it's fully operational, and it's not at the moment, I can't comment, but I can't see it working. I really can't. Maybe they can time the traffic lights at certain times, you know, have them synchronised a certain way. I don't know. As I said, time will tell. Right, so I'm going to go into the nuclear medicine now at Royal Blackburn, hand over the tin containing the isotope, and be back in a minute. Right, here we go. So it's lunchtime now, so it's 6 minutes past 9. As I said, you know, if you remember, when I was leaving St Mary's, the ETA on the sat-nav was 8:49, and I got there, here I should say, at 9 o'clock. So 11 minutes was added to my journey, which, you know, isn't bad when you think. I think it's it's around 38 miles there, 38 back, so, you know, not too far. But if you get a hold up or whatever, and you know you're not doing the speed limits, blah blah blah. So I'm happy with that. So it's lunchtime now, and this car in front's looking for somewhere to park. The staff pay for car parking. They have done since 1994. An absolute disgrace. It's a tax on coming to work, and unless you're prepared to park your car at the other side of the hospital, so quite away from your place of work, then you're not guaranteed a space. So you pay out your wage every month, whatever it is. It's a tidy sum now. It's a few £100 a year, or I don't know exactly what it is. It's over 100 anyway. So then you have to spend all your time like this car is doing. I think I know the driver of this car in front, driving around aimlessly, wasting your petrol, looking for somewhere to park. Yeah, it's David. So I know the car driver in front, and he's looking for somewhere to park. So that's before you start your working day, which is not ideal, but there we are. So we're going back to transport now, transport garage, for my lunch, and the next part of the working day is the Burnley bit. So that'll be on the next part. I do hope you're enjoying this. As I say, I do this day in, day out. There are a few subtle differences on certain days, so there is a little bit of varied duties in the job, but generally it's the same day in, day out, and I quite like that. I like routine. I'm a man of habit. It's just how I am. I like to do things methodically and in order. I don't like to turn up at work and not know what I'm going to be doing. It's just me. Some people like a challenge every day, and I don't. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I've given up on UW. Probably is. But again, I've talked about that, so it's a chapter of my life which I've enjoyed, but I've put to bed now. Right. Back later. Bye for now.